Hi there, I'm Ciara Whelan and you're welcome once again to Ireland County by County, the programme which explores the sights and sounds, the places to visit, the culture and the food which this island has to offer. This time we're in a county where history and mythology are intertwined. From breathtaking mountain views to rolling drumlin country raised on 7 hills, this county is bordered by the famous river Blackwater and mystical Lough Neagh. In the next 30 minutes, I'll be exploring one of Ireland's most famous and important archaeological sites and the birthplace of some of the oldest Irish myths from 2,000 years ago. Learning about the Troughton family's secret to growing the best Ballinteggart apples for their top quality handcrafted cider. I'll be visiting the spiritual capital of Ireland, which was once the seat for St. Patrick and where the High King of Ireland, Brian Boru, was buried in 1014. And I'll be experiencing the delicious and top quality local food you can find at Market Hill's most famous barbecue spot. All this as well as stunning outdoor spaces and a rich history adorned with symbolic folklore, mythical tales of legendary heroes and locals keen to preserve and share their cultural heritage with the world. Welcome to County Armagh. With a name derived from the Irish word ord meaning height and the ancient goddess of war and fertility Macha, Armagh translates to Macha's height. The county possesses a rugged landscape with Carrickatook, Lislee and Camlock mountains at its south. On the north of the county you can find flatlands with vast terrains and small hills that reach sea level at Lough Neagh. In the county section of the lake there are many uninhabited islands like Coney Island Flat and the Shallow Flat. Armagh's ancient history can be traced back over thousands of years. Being a very disputed site, there are many baronies associated with the territory, and traces of their presence have been discovered and preserved as part of the county's symbolic history. Starting in the west of the county, I'm visiting the Navan Centre Fort, where we can find the legendary Uilleann Macha, which was the sacred stronghold of the hero Cuchulainn. Once the seat of kings and home to the Red Branch Knights, the legendary Uilleann Macha is one of Ireland's most visited archaeological sites. People come here from far and wide to trace the footsteps of ancient warriors on this immersive guided tour that transports us back to 95 BC. You can even meet the resident Celtic clan and learn about the history of Navan Fort from them. I'm starting in the northwest of the county at Navan Centre Fort, where you'll find the legendary Uilleann Macha. Armagh legend tells the story of Macha, the ancient goddess of war and fertility who scored the earth with her brooch pin, tracing out the outline of this sacred place. This place is full of those stories of mythology, but it's also an incredibly important archaeological site. I'm going to chat to Dr. Patrick Leeson to find out more.
Navan Fort is the capital of the province of Ulster and the ancient seat of the kings of Ulster, and archaeologically it's a complex of monuments that are quite unique on the island of Ireland. There's only about 4 or 5 comparable centres around the island that are all the provincial capitals.
What type of people were living here at the time?
The most famous people of early Irish history and myth, people like Cuchulainn, Crochor MacNeasa, the Knights of the Red Branch of Ulster, these famous characters from Irish myth and saga.
And this place then is very significant for the story of Toyne as well.
The Toyne is the famous cattle raid of Cooley, where Queen Maeve of Connacht decides that she wants the brown bull of Cooley, and she raises an army to invade Ulster to steal the brown bull of Cooley. And it's a story that I suppose heavily features the heroes that probably we all grew up hearing about in school in Ireland, like Cuchulainn and Fergus MacRoich. These are the figures who were the great warriors, the Achilles-like people of these myths.
And what can people see then when they come to the visitor centre?
So there's been lots of special things found on the site and in the surrounding landscape over the years. Probably some of the most special includes the Barbary ape skull that was found in one of the buildings. That seems to have been a sort of a foundational deposit, so perhaps a sacrifice of some sort. But that Barbary ape would of course have come from North Africa. So in the last centuries BC at some point, somebody brought a Barbary ape from North Africa to this part of Armagh.
Now I'm going to move towards the east of the county, to the city of Armagh, where I'll be exploring a few treasures and must-see destinations the city has to offer. My first stop in the city is the historic Armagh Robinson Library, the oldest library in Northern Ireland, which was founded in 1771 by Archbishop Richard Robinson as part of a larger plan to establish a university in the city centre. Carved in stone above the library's public entrance is the original Greek inscription, "The healing place of the soul," a message that still resonates today. Preserving the 18th century style of its founder, once you walk through the building's Georgian doors and up the elegant staircase, you can find the classical long room, lined with rare and beautiful books from floor to ceiling. This is Armagh Robinson Library, where I'm going to chat to assistant keeper Carol all about their collection of over 42,000 treasures. The one I'm looking forward to seeing most, Jonathan Swift's very own copy of Gulliver's Travels. Carol, as lovely as the building is on the outside, you still can't help but get a really nice surprise when you come up those stairs and see the library. It's so charming.
The fact that you have to come up 2 flights of stairs to come, there's that sort of idea of, well, what are we coming into? You can't look through a window and see what's inside. You have to come up.
So what type of books do you have?
Very much looking at the arts, science, literature, and including subjects such as medicine, theology and history.
Now, I know some of your American visitors love looking at your atlas. Tell me about that.
One of the examples that we would always have available for our American visitors is this copy of a 1776 American Atlas by Thomas Jeffries. And it's a wonderful view of how the East Coast was shown and some of the West Coast, but you have the central area of America still having to be discovered in terms of this atlas. And it's beautifully illustrated, and we often use it as a means of letting people see what did their state look like at that time, or their area of America, because the state may not have been created.
What else do visitors like to see when they come?
It will be Gulliver's Travels, there is no doubt. It is one of the most popular books that people will come to visit. It's Jonathan Swift's own copy, and you've got those changes made in his own handwriting. The book was published in 1726. The publisher was in London, called Benjamin Mott. Swift was in Dublin, and Benjamin Mott changed words without Swift's knowledge. Swift made changes in the margins, crossing out words which the publisher had put in, and we have that particular copy. For the next edition, he brought the very copy that we have with all the changes made, he brought to another publisher.
So the second edition is actually the book.
It is, yes.
Only a short walk from the library is a significant landmark you cannot miss. Standing on the hill that the city of Armagh derived its name from is St Patrick's Church of Ireland Cathedral. As early as the 7th century, Armagh's primacy was recognised over all the churches of Ireland, and to this day it is still the ecclesiastical capital of Ireland. The Church of Ireland Cathedral stands on the popular site of St Patrick's Great Stone Church, which is the reason for Armagh's traditional association with St Patrick. The history embedded in St Patrick's Church of Ireland Cathedral and St Patrick's Roman Catholic Cathedral just on the neighbouring hill is something that all visitors are encouraged to enjoy. I'm here to chat to Donna about both of these beautiful buildings and to find out about the mysterious crypt that lies beneath this one. Donna, Armagh is looking to have not one but 2 beautiful cathedrals. Tell me about this one.
This is the old cathedral. This is where St Patrick founded his first stone church at this location on 445 AD. This is not the original building. This one dates from 1268 AD.
And why did St Patrick choose this area?
When St Patrick came to Armagh, he was attracted to this location because we're on top of a hill with super panoramic views, and we're very close to Armagh, which was the headquarters of the royal family of Ulster. St Patrick could speak the language, having spent 6 years on Slemish Mountain tending to pigs and sheep. And if he could convert the kings of Ulster, then he believed that the rest of the population would follow suit.
Right below us is something really special, the crypt.
Technically it's called an undercroft, and it was to help the foundations of the cathedral because we're built on a drumlin, so something needed to stabilise the foundations. The walls are 2 metres thick. It dates from the 13th century, and it was a place of safekeeping. It is a place of burial. It also has pre-Christian sculptures because there had been archaeological digs done here. You could spend an hour or 2 down there, but just don't get locked inside.
I've come from the old cathedral to the new one to meet with local little legend and Irish dancing world champion, Bláithín Mohan. Lohin, that was incredible. Tell us, what does your name mean?
In English, it means a little flower, and in my costume, there's a little flower here and one at the back that represents my name, Little Flower.
You're actually an Irish dancing world champion.
In 2019, I won the Under-11 Girls Championships in Greensboro, North Carolina.
So you travelled to America and you walked away with the trophy. That must have been amazing.
I've been to America a couple of times with dancing, in Boston, North Carolina and Florida, and it's just been amazing.
A little birdie told me that a couple of days before the World Championships, you actually injured yourself and you went on to win. Tell me about that.
I was in school playing football, running backwards, and I rolled my ankle, but I just stayed calm and didn't really dance much, and I gave it time to recover, and luckily enough, I was still able to perform to my best.
But you've been dancing for a long time.
I've been dancing for about 8 years. I started when I was 4 and I'm 12. But if you want to say proper dancing, that started when I was 4, but I've always been dancing.
And how do you get so good?
As they say, practice makes perfect, so just practice. I practice 3 to 4 times a day, and I'm very lucky to have my mum as my dancing teacher and my 2 aunties, Blondes and Circa. They are my teachers as well, and Circa is a 6-time world champion and a former lead dancer in Riverdance, so I have her to look up to.
Before you leave Armagh City, make sure to check out the mall. This magnificent public park is the perfect place for a stroll or even a picnic. Located along the east side of the mall, Armagh County Museum is another great place you can visit to learn more about the rich history of the area. Leaving the city now, I'm heading south, where a delicious treat awaits me. I've travelled to the village of Market Hill to meet with the charming Fiona Chapman, who's going to share with me some of the culinary wonders Armagh has to offer. Number 1 being the wood-fired heaven on earth called On the Hoof. I've come to the village of Market Hill and the home of the Chapman family. They've taken an American style of cooking and added an Irish twist. Let's chat to Fiona about Armagh's slow-cooked fast food. Fiona, On the Hoof, tell me all about it.
Initially it was just tea and coffee, but within a year people started saying, why don't you do hot food? And it had always been a dream of ours that we would build a smoker and that we would do cooking with timber.
And it's not a very Irish thing, is it?
No, it's not, and I think that's why we were keen to go with it. When you say to people you cook brisket here in Ireland, they go, well, yeah, that's a pot roast on a Sunday.
You actually went to Texas to steal some ideas.
The one we enjoyed the most was Aaron Franklin in Austin, and they were very keen to share their knowledge, which was lovely.
What I loved though is you came back and you put your own twist on things.
We grew up with the best of beefs in Ireland, the best of lamb, the best of pork. So we wanted to introduce all of the nice meats, but take a bit of a healthier approach and more salads as well. I know we're not really into our greens, but we thought we should do a few more salady things too. So that's appealed to the market.
And tell me about the process then of cooking on fire.
We put them into the smoker for 14 hours. About every 40 minutes we spray them with organic cider vinegar, and then we just keep going till we reach a certain temperature and we know they're tender.
That sounds delicious. Let's go.
Okay.
After that delicious meal, I'm heading north to my next destination, which, lucky for me, is just as appetising. Close to Portadown, I'm arriving at the beautiful Ballinteggart House. The beauty of this place lies in the magnificent apple orchard that blooms around this time of the year and make for the most delicious apple cider. Here, multi-award-winning Armagh cider from the Armagh Cider Company is made from blossom to bottle on the Troughton family farm, where they've been growing apples for over 100 years. Spring is arguably the most beautiful time of the year to visit the incredible orchard here at Ballinteggart House, home to the Armagh Cider Company. I'm going to be learning all about the craft of cider making in a little bit, but first of all making the most of the beautiful apple blossoms with music from Eamon from the Armagh Pipers Club. Oh, Eamon, that was mesmerising. The uilleann pipes, tell me all about them.
I would tell people that they're a prehistoric instrument for start off, which means that they exist pre-history. The uilleann pipes are just the Irish version of a bagpipe. The bagpipe is international. Pretty much every country in the world has a pipe of some sort, and quite a lot of them have bagpipes. So the uilleann pipes were developed particularly in Ireland. They're a unique instrument. They have 3 drones, 3 regulators, and the chanter. The chanter gives you the melody, and the rest gives you accompaniment to the tune. So
they're quite tricky to play then?
Yeah, there was always a kind of, if you like, a folklore saying that it took 21 years to make a pipe, or 7 years learning, 7 years practice, and 7 years playing. I suppose it really was an indication just that they are quite a difficult instrument to master. There's a lot of things going on at the one time.
How long have you been playing?
I've been playing over 40 years now. I started off here with the Armagh Pipers Club back when I was a youngster, I think 11 years of age at that time.
Is it important for kids to start that young?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Although not necessarily very young with the pipes. I always feel it's a great help to start off with something like a tin whistle. It breaks that barrier for getting over the musical part of it. So if you have some of your music learned, say on something like a tin whistle, then all you have to do is deal with the, if you like, the contortions of the instrument afterwards.
For over 5 generations, the Troughton family have dedicated themselves to the production of artisanal, handcrafted ciders. With more than 12 different award-winning cider varieties, they have something to suit everyone's taste. Helen, not only are your orchards beautiful, they're also the biggest in Armagh.
Well, Armagh is known for its orchards. We are the orchard county of Ireland, but we'll be one of the bigger growers. And having said that, we still only have about 80 acres.
How do we go from here to here?
We grow the apples here. They grow from now until September, and then they're harvested. And then after that, we let them sit about 2 to 3 weeks. The apples that are going to cider, we add some yeast, and then that starts fermentation. And that can take 6 to 12 weeks. And then it's stored, and that's the way it's done. And we've been very fortunate in that we have won awards with most of them.
38 products. The recipes are all in your head, but I want to taste the original. Every year in September, right here in the heart of Orchard County, Armagh hosts the Food and Cider Festival, brimming with fine foods, foraged lunches, cider tasting, tours and talks, all amongst the apple-laden orchards. My next stop takes me a bit further north in the county to one of the most elegant and popular venues in Armagh. I'm talking about the historic Brownlow House. A country manor that overlooks the scenic Lurgan Park, this tranquil and elegant location has catered to many fancy events and guests over the years. Built in 1833 in an age of grandeur, it is an imposing building that has been tastefully restored and maintained over the years. This treasured landmark nestled next to Lurgan Park also possesses a rich history you can explore at the Brownlow HQ Museum, which tells visitors about the story of the American troops who were stationed in Lurgan during the Second World War. Another historical marker at Brownlow House, which I'm about to see, is the famous room where Eisenhower stayed while visiting the manor. Known locally as just the castle, Brownlow House, nestled next to Lurgan Park, was built in 1833. It's a wedding venue and a tea room, but its fascinating history and its link to the US are why I'm here to visit. David, driving up to Brownlow House, it's so distinctive, especially the colour. Tell me about the building.
The building itself is built from Scottish sandstone, and that's down to the architect, because the architect was from Scotland. He was a man called William Playfair, and he was Scotland's most renowned architect. Brownlow House is actually what we call a calendar building.
And what is a calendar house?
The way it works is there's 7 days in 1 week, so you can enter Brownlow House by 7 different doors, one for each day of the week. There's then 4 seasons in every year. Brownlow House has 4 wings to represent the 4 seasons. It also has 12 exterior corners. If you go for a walk around the exterior building, you'll see 12 exterior corners, represents the 12 months of the year. And then if you look up onto our roof, you'll see dozens and dozens of chimney pots, and there are 52 of those, and they represent the 52 weeks of the year. And then the big one, 365 days in a year. When Brownlow House was opened in 1840, it had 365 rooms, one for each day of the year.
The building itself has been restored beautifully. Tell me about that.
There was a fire here in 1996, and 60% of the building was just destroyed. We undertook an 11-year project to restore the building back to its original form. And after 11 years and £9 million, the building stands today, restored back to its original features back in 1840.
You keep the history alive here with your 2 museums. What can people see when they visit?
One of the museums we have is local history, so it basically gives you the local history of the town and the house. And then during World War II, the house was taken over by the United States Expeditionary Force, and they arrived here in February of 1942, and they didn't just set up camp here, but Brownlow House became their headquarters.
And Eisenhower stayed here as well, didn't he?
Also, Brownlow House played a major role in Normandy and the D-Day landings. In fact, the very last meeting that was held face-to-face in relation to D-Day was actually held here in Brownlow House, attended by Eisenhower and Generals Patton and Clark. And there's a room up the stairs we've called the Eisenhower room, because he stayed here 2 nights, and that was the room that he stayed in.
And talking about American soldiers, tell me the story about Papa Jake.
Papa Jake, an elderly gentleman in America. All the years he told the family stories that he had been stationed in Ireland, and he stayed in this big castle with dozens of chimneys, and they'd heard the stories maybe 1,000 times, and it became sort of just a standing joke amongst them. But just in 2019, his granddaughter decided that I'm going to find out if this is true. So she went on TikTok, and she put out, she says, my grandfather said about this castle in Ireland with all the chimneys that he stayed in. Is there a castle? So she was flooded with information. People said, oh yes, it's called Brownlow House, it's in Lurgan, and they sent videos to her. And then there's a wonderful, wonderful video, they showing Papa Jake, Brownlow House. And it was wonderful because you could see the tears coming down his cheeks. He says, that's it. He was here as a 19-year-old. He has so many stories to tell. And it went very, very popular out on the internet, and they raised $10,000. Papa Jake would be able to come back here to where he was stationed as a 19-year-old lad and revisit Brownlow House. And we can hear all his wonderful, wonderful stories.
My final destination in the north of County Armagh is the centrepiece for planning your dream getaway. Set on the edge of the small village of Magherlin, Newforge House is an iconic family-run country house offering warm hospitality, luxurious rooms and delicious local seasonal food. Originally dating back to the early 1800s, Newforge House has received numerous awards down through the years for its outstanding features and hospitality. From Best Hotel Restaurant in Ulster over 3 years to McKenna's Guide's Country House of the Year 2015. It is the perfect spot for everyone to enjoy. Newforge House has been standing beautifully on the outskirts of Magherlin since 1833. This family-run guest house has 6 beautiful bedrooms which perfectly blend the antique with contemporary comfort. John, Newforge House is just beautiful. Tell me all about it.
It's a very simple, lovely country house. People can come, relax and enjoy really good food.
What do people love most when they come to stay?
The relaxation, you know, it's a home-from-home atmosphere. It's not ostentatious, it's not swanky, it's just something you can kick off your shoes and just take a deep breath and just enjoy just the simple things. Just being outside in the gardens.
Tell me about those.
It's lovely to have a lovely garden. It's almost like little rooms in each other, so you can just go and explore those. All the way down to the back, you've got the orchard with the chickens and then the vegetable garden. So there's lots of little bits and pieces you can come and see and just enjoy.
I hope you've enjoyed our journey through the historic and stunning destinations that County Armagh has to offer. Join us next time as we continue our journey through Ireland, county by county.
Ireland County by County is brought to you in part by Visit Armagh, Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs, the National Parks and Wildlife Services, Board Bia, the Irish Food Board, the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
CIE Tours, sharing the magic of Ireland for nearly 90 years.